The Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your SuperChats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
A new report states that Pete Carroll wants to coach in the NFL again. Would the Jets rehire their former head coach? We'll talk about that and much more with Jets insider Nick Faria in his weekly spot on the show. It's the Jake Asman Show. Let's hit it and get it started. Man. This is the same old Jets. We have Aaron freaking Rodgers. We have Garrett Wilson. We have Breece Hall. Please subscribe and hit the like button below. Super chat, baby. Cut the line. We have Sauce Gardner. We have Quinnen Williams. Now it's time to talk all things New York Jets. It's the Jake Asman Show. Here we go, Jet fans. Welcome in, everybody. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. Help the channel continue to grow. Shout out to everyone who supports us on Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jake Asman Show. If you want bonus shows, your name in the intro, Discord access, and a whole lot more. Patreon.com/Jake Asman Show. If you want the show to survive, consider joining the Patreon. Shout out to all the Jet fans who tune in each and every day. Joining us right now on his weekly spot is Jets beat reporter Nick Faria. Nick, appreciate your time as always. Welcome aboard.
Great to be back on, Jake.
So we got a lot to get into. I want to get into this report about Pete Carroll. So Yogi Roth, who is an NFL analyst, Big Ten football analyst, and seemingly has a very close relationship with the former Seahawks head coach, was on the Kay Adams program yesterday. And when discussing potential coaching options for the Chicago Bears, Yogi Roth said this.
I know this. I know Pete Carroll wants to coach. This guy is a crazy competitor. I don't know if that's the place or not, but I know that since he finished coaching in Seattle, he has not stopped competing. I mean, I talked to him. He's still coaching me up on being a better husband, being a better father, being a better minority owner in the Paris Musketeers. His energy to coaching is still there. So who knows how that shakes out. Another bunch of other openings, of course. Sadly, that's how NFL goes.
Interesting. First things first, I just want to call it for what it is. The two people on TV right there, great looking people. I mean, we got to be fair. All right. Yogi Roth, very handsome. Kay Adams, enough said. Nick, what did you make of that, though? Pete Carroll seemingly wants to coach, does obviously have a tie to the Jet organization. He was the head coach for one full season in 1994. Your thoughts on Pete Carroll potentially getting an interview to be the next coach of the Jets?
I buy it as much as I buy Bill Belichick getting an interview with the Jets. I just don't see it happening. First off, 72 years old, relative, obviously older amongst head coaches in this cycle. The second thing is we have no idea if he's going to want to come to the East Coast. He's been a West Coast guy now for a few decades. He has family there. It's very hard for me to believe at 72 years old that this guy's willing to uproot his family and go coach the Jets or coach an East Coast team for that matter. So very hard for me to see that happening. There's other candidates out there that I think are better overall fits for the Jets at this time.
I actually would give him an interview if you were interested in coming back to the East Coast, just because I know it wouldn't be a long-term thing with the guy being 73. But Pete Carroll, I think, would, one, hire a tremendous staff, two, provide instant credibility, and three, it would be similar to Parcells coming in 97, to almost basically kind of reestablish the culture, set the foundation. It wouldn't be a long-term thing, but Pete Carroll's energy level is like a guy in his 50s, not a guy in his early 70s.
Sure.
So I'd at least consider it if he were interested. Now, Yogi Roth says he wants to coach again. We don't know if he wants to coach on the East Coast, to your point.
I will say the difference with him and Parcells is Parcells had been in the New York market and in the region. So he was coach of the Patriots. That's 2.5 hours away. So to me, he was closer to the area with his family. That's just, to me, that difference alone is what I think separates the Parcells and the Carrolls. I think, God forbid, what happens at USC? If Lincoln Riley's fired after this dismal year, does he want to go back to USC? I think that would probably be a more realistic option going forward than this particular point.
It would be interesting if Carroll says, yeah, I'd want to do it. And then you think, okay, what would his staff look like? Because that to me would be the big question. Because you
great
almost
staffs, 100%.
I think he would too, right? And then you almost wonder, would he hire a staff where like maybe there's an heir apparent that he's able to kind of groom to take over in a couple of years? Because it wouldn't be a long-term thing, but it's certainly, a 2 to 3 year thing at the minimum, kind of what Parcells was. He was the head coach for only 3 years, but he resurrected the Jets franchise, and the culture he instilled kind of carried the Jets through the 2000s.
Yeah, and listen, the other part to it would be if this new Jets regime, whatever it is, the GM hired first or the head coach hired first, as was teased yesterday in particular story. But, if the GM wants a head coach that's going to be here for the long haul while he's there, would Carroll be the right guy? In that instance, no, it would not. He wants that new GM would want a younger coach. So to me, if I'm looking at veteran coaches who are more likely to become the head coach of the Jets or be more willing to take that job, I think it's more Vrabel than Carroll at this stage.
Hit the like button if you're just tuning in. We're talking with Jets reporter Nick Faria and his weekly spot on the show. You brought up Mike Vrabel. Rich Cimini reported on his podcast yesterday that people close to Vrabel have told him he'd interview for the Jets job. He wouldn't just say no because Bill Belichick might say don't take it. He never coached under Bill Belichick, oh, by the way, so it's worth pointing that out there. But Vrabel, to me, Nick, has been my number one guy that I want the Jets to hire. Your thoughts on Rich's report from yesterday that he would consider the Jets and he'd make his own decision based on who the GM is and, based on his conversations with ownership?
It fits who he is as a coach. He's not going to be beholden to the Belichick way or the Patriot way as he was as a player. And I think that, to me, is what separates him from the Josh McDaniels, the Matt Patricias of the world, where they are all about the Patriot way. I'm going to do this because I was an assistant under Belichick for 20 years, and I know how to win. Vrabel has done it in different places. You could argue that just because he was a player under the Patriot way, that doesn't mean he's under the Belichick tree. He's been an assistant in many other different stops. I, though, am still of the opinion that Vrabel is not the correct fit overall. Not to say that he's a bad coach, but does Vrabel develop quarterbacks? Can he locate a young quarterback and develop him for the future? That is a big question mark to me because while he did some great work with Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry and A.J. Brown, and they were able to go to new heights with the Tennessee Titans in their heyday, it's still a big question because Tannehill's decline also came under Mike Vrabel as the head coach. So I need to see more from him and how he would develop and pinpoint what kind of quarterback he's looking for his particular offense. Because again, it's the one thing the Jets haven't gotten right in decades. You get the quarterback right, a lot of things tend to fall in place. So to me, the right fit is going to be getting an offensive mind, a Todd Monken, a Joe Brady, those kind of guys that understand how to develop offenses and develop quarterbacks. Not to say that Vrabel's a bad pick. I think a lot of people would be very excited if Vrabel were to be hired. But to me, it's got to be about the offense finally. And I just don't see him as the right fit for what the Jets truly, truly need at this time.
Here would be my pushback on that. Mike Vrabel has hired 2 offensive coordinators that then went on to be head coaches. He could hire a really good offensive staff.
Sure.
He's proven that. So, to me, it's about just getting the best coach. Yes, he's a defensive-minded guy. I get it. But he's a CEO. He oversees the entire operation. If he hired the right offensive coordinator, which he's proven the ability to do twice, I'd be on board with Mike Vrabel. I know we value the offensive guy, but it's a different job when you're an OC than becoming a head coach. So that would be my pushback with Vrabel.
So here's my follow-up to that. Are we okay with Keith Carter coming back?
No, but he fired Carter in Tennessee the first time.
No, but that was just the funny joke where he got him in and it was just awful. Everything else in that relationship.
If he kept Downing as a quarterback coach, though, I wouldn't mind it. I think Downing's fine.
Listen, and if that's the system, then okay, you got something cooking. To me, with the way NFL offenses are and the fact that this team has not gotten the quarterback right and hasn't been unable to locate the top quarterback in the draft where that can fit the team mold and build them and bring them to new heights. They need someone as a head coach who knows how to do it, not just as the OC and let the head coach just sort of pass that off to the GM, the offensive guy. To have that seamless transition of play caller, head coach, and GM all on the same page to draft a quarterback, I think that's the way to go.
Hit the like button if you're tuning in. If you have a question for Nick or myself, super chat it in. It is the best way to make sure it is guaranteed to be read on the show. A lot to talk about with Nick Faria. There's always something with this Jets team. Yesterday, Aaron Rodgers spoke, said it was a goal of his to play every game this season. He's remaining the Jets starter for at least this week against the Dolphins. Your thoughts on that? I think it's crazy that people would want to bench Rodgers at 3-9. I just don't see what that accomplishes. I think it makes the Jets look like a bigger shit show than they already are. I don't see the point. Your thoughts on Rodgers remaining the starter?
Yeah, I completely agree with that thought process. I mean, you already know what you have in Tyrod Taylor. It's not like Tyrod Taylor is this young, unproven quarterback. He's been playing for over a decade. He's got solid accuracy overall in the intermediate games, but he doesn't push the ball down the field, doesn't make mistakes, but doesn't take chances either. He's not going to win you games. He's not going to lose you games. He's just sort of there. You don't need to put him out there on the field to see how good he is. Every NFL team has a very long scouting report about who Tyrod Taylor is. So there's no reason to put him out there. And with Jordan Travis not ready to play due to his leg injury, it just makes more sense to go down with the Rodgers ship. You've already fired the head coach. You've already fired the general manager. It makes no sense to bench Aaron Rodgers because the team is losing. The team's already losing. It's a lost season. What more are you going to do to show your disdain and disappointment if you're Jets ownership? It wouldn't make sense to me. And quite frankly, Rodgers' comments yesterday were stunning when it came to ownership and how they have been doing things, really.
So what did you make of those comments?
The overall comment of patience, a lot of Jet fans point to that Rodgers isn't really making sense there because Joe Douglas had 6 years. He had plenty of time to turn this around. He had plenty of time to find the quarterback, fix the offensive line, and put up wins. They didn't do it. Robert Saleh had 3.5 years, couldn't get this team over 500. All that is part of it. But the idea that Rodgers would be willing to come back and Devontae Adams would be willing to come back, but only if the team wants him. It's a very stark point to me that Jets ownership, even with the players saying, oh, I want that, there's a lot of animosity here. There's a major disconnect between the players on the roster and the mindset of ownership of what they want to do in a building team. You heard Connor Hughes a couple of days ago say that Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall were starting to be alienated from this team right now. They were frustrated with how they were being used over the last couple of weeks and over the last few seasons as well. And when you have your top young players saying that, and you have your older veterans saying, well, I want to come back, but only if the team wants me, there's clearly a disconnect here between ownership and the players. And really, you're going to have fans in these comments here saying, well, the players can't say anything. The team stinks. If you want to have a say, play better. But then in the same breath, say Woody Johnson is a defunct owner, dysfunctional, and use all these different words to describe him. So to me, Rodgers' comments, the comments from Connor Hughes, it all ties into the fact that this is a dysfunctional mess all the way through. Not just the roster, not just the coaches, but it starts at ownership as well.
Well, the only way it changes is if Woody hires the right people, because this year's cooked. It is what it is. It's like you got to get a real GM and coach in here. Otherwise, nothing matters.
And again, that's what it goes back to. You get the right GM to draft the right quarterback and get the right head coach to finally put wins on the board. Everything changes. And it was the same thing with the Houston Texans. Jake, you know this very well. Before the draft pick of C.J. Stroud and the hiring of DeMeco Ryans, the Texans were as dysfunctional as any franchise in sports. You had the Deshaun Watson saga. You had McNair and all these other different comments. You had Caserio potentially being kicked out the door. Now, all of a sudden, everything's sort of quieted down. Obviously, you have the suspension to Al-Shaair. But that, to me, is more of a microcosm of the game itself and not reflective of what the Texans are teaching their players. But one quarterback and one coach can fix everything, and that's what the Jets need right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, Nick Faria is our guest. If you have any Jet-related questions, write it in, and we will bring it up on the screen. Your thoughts, Nick, down the stretch, what to look for. There's 5 games to go. What are some of the storylines that intrigue you as someone covering this team on a day-in, day-out basis?
Well, the young players, and I mean the true young players, the Will McDonalds, the Olu Fashados, it's hard not to be impressed with what you saw in that last game against Seattle. Will McDonald put up 2 sacks. Olu Fashanu didn't give up a pressure in 42 blocking attempts. So to me, you have to feel a little bit, just a little bit of positivity that there are some players here who can be part of the building blocks for the future. Garrett, Brees Hall, Sauce. You don't know what you're going to get out of Jermaine Johnson coming out of his Achilles injury. Quinnen Williams, McDonald, Fashanu, Tippmann. There's a good collection of young talent. So you want to see that group play better down the stretch. But I would also put the caveat in, you want to see them play well down the stretch, but you don't want to see the wins happen. There is no point to winning games anymore. And people are going to be angry. They don't like the tank word and everything else. But at the end of the day, this coaching staff is not going to be returning. More likely than not, this quarterback will not be returning. A lot of veterans will be leaving. So there's no extra mojo, extra positivity that you can bring by winning a couple of games down the stretch. So, the ship is sinking. A couple wins here and there is not going to help you. Lose out. Get some good talent on the roster. Allow your young players to play. Get Malachi Corley the football a lot more and see what you have in him, and then move forward with this new regime with a very high draft pick.
Easier said than done. They're going to win one of these final games. That's what because coaches don't tank, players don't tank. A lot of them might not be here. They don't care. So, and now with Trevor Lawrence not playing in that Jaguars game next week, that feels like a game that if the Jets are going to win one of these games, that's the game they'd win.
And I would sink their chances of a top overall pick. Now, I will say, with the Jaguars, they're in a very different boat with the Jets because they feel they have their franchise quarterback. They just paid him this past offseason. So you've got Trevor Lawrence locked up to long-term cap constraints. So if the Jets were to get, say, the 3rd or the 4th overall pick and Jacksonville's in front of them, there's a good thought to say that the Jaguars will bring in and draft, whether it's an offensive lineman or a skilled player like Travis Hunter. They won't take a quarterback. So if Cam Ward goes to the Giants and Shedeur Sanders is available and Dion has given his blessing, could he fall to the Jets with the 3rd or 4th overall pick? I think that can certainly happen.
Ladies and gentlemen, Nick Faria is our guest. We'll get back to the conversation with Nick after a quick word from today's sponsor, Mando.
Here we go. Introducing Lumi for men, and we named him Mando. The whole body deodorant that's clinically proven to block odor all day and controls odor for 72 hours on pits, feet, privates, between your butt cheeks. So here's the odor controlling math. 12 hours after a shower with soap, the average armpit and nether region had an odor score of 8 and 5 out of 10. 12 hours after a shower with soap and applying Mando, those odor scores were 0. How do you like them apples?
I mean, folks, you stink. Maybe not as bad as the Jets, but I'm here to help in time for the holiday season. Mando, whole body deodorant, whether it's the spray or the stick, Mando's the best. Been using Mando for months since they jumped on board as an awesome sponsor. I have a promo code that will save you money. New customers get $5 off Mando's best-selling starter pack. Code Asman at shopmando.com. Starter pack includes deodorant, the stick kind, the spray, the whole body invisible cream deodorant. Plus, don't forget about Mando's acidified body wash. All this and more in the starter pack. Check it out, shopmando.com. Promo code Asman. Shout out to Mando for making me smell nice and not stinky like the New York Jets. Let's bring Nick back on the show right now. Nick, your thoughts on the nether regions of yours and potentially using some Mando there.
Listen, anything can help. So throw it my way. I'll be happy with it.
There you go. All right. Comments, questions for Nick here. This one's from Bill, who writes in, do you hire a GM or head coach first? If it's Vrabel, does Aaron Rodgers stay one more year as they are friends? Thanks, guys.
This is a great question. I'll start with the Vrabel side of things. I think it's more likely that Rodgers returns for another season if Vrabel's the coach. because he's going to want to win right away. He feels that a bridge guy like Darnold, a guy like Tyler Taylor won't provide the team better quarterback play than Rodgers. So to me, if it's Vrabel, you're signing up for Rodgers for another season, that final year of his contract, and then you're eating the very large dead caps in 2026 and 2027 and beyond. So that's the first side of Vrabel. And then, of course, do you hire the GM or head coach first? I am always a purist that says the GM must be hired first to instill his vision in the front office, and then he is the one that hires the head coach. You're going to get people like Vrabel, who, as the head coach, want full autonomy of the roster. They don't want what happened in Tennessee to happen again, where they trade A.J. Brown when he's basically begging them not to. To me, if it's Vrabel, you're not hiring the GM first. You're hiring Vrabel to be both head coach and GM. That's always a gamble. So, in my opinion, it's GM first and let him hire the head coach moving forward.
Tom A says, did Nick miss his exit while driving?
Nope, didn't miss my exit. I'm just in my car, relaxing, about to go in for a broadcast, and happy day here.
So you're parked right now.
Correct.
Yet you're still wearing your seatbelt. Interesting.
Here's why. If I turn it off, Jake saw this already. My stupid car's got the beeper on it. So unless you guys want to hear my car beeping nonstop, I'm going to keep the seatbelt on.
Ladies and gentlemen, Nick Faria providing an inside perspective on his car. Hit the like button if you're just tuning in. Comments, questions, super chats. We'll mix in some calls as well. I made an announcement yesterday, and let's announce it again today.
It's the Asmaniac membership raffle. For every membership gifted, you receive one ticket entered in the raffle to win epic prizes.
Ladies and gentlemen, the first prize is a Garrett Wilson jersey. So we get 100 memberships. We'll pick a random name, and you'll get sent a Garrett Wilson jersey. So that's the first step here. For every membership gifted, it's basically like getting a raffle ticket with your name on it. So you get 5, you have 5 chances to win. Every 100 names, we'll pick a new winner. And ladies and gentlemen, Lumpy is the first to get 5 names entered. Yeah, baby.
Hi.
Lumpy, shout out to you. 5 names have been entered. Omari, Heath A, Drew Powers, Who Dat Fam, John O'Reilly, all receiving a channel membership. Lumpy, your name will be entered into the fishbowl when I get the raffle tickets later today from Amazon, and you'll have 5 chances to win that Garrett Wilson jersey for our first raffle giveaway. All right, more of your calls, or actually I should say, how about plenty of your calls, as we haven't taken any yet on the show. Let's say hello to the Hamburger, who's first up today on the program. What's up, Hamburger?
Good morning, boys. How we doing today?
Hamburger, what's up, man?
Not much, man. You guys hear me? You hear me?
Hear you.
All right, good. You just hit on it like 2 minutes ago with Vrabel and Aaron Rodgers coming back. I was on my way home this morning from my kid's school, and I was thinking about it. I'm looking at Aaron yesterday in that interview. It doesn't look like a guy that wants to retire at all. And it looks like a guy that wants to come back just from the way he was speaking. And now that you bring that up, and I thought about it this morning, man, it's better of a chance now if Vrabel does come and the cards are kind of aligning for Aaron's return. And I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know if I feel that, maybe we get to see him again. I just, I'm on the fence about him because I haven't seen anything that makes me want to believe in him to come back and be able to be a serviceable quarterback anymore. But, the way that I see him, man, I expect him to come out this weekend. Maybe he might not be good, but I expect him to maybe fire the ball out a lot and take some chances this week and maybe try to show that he's capable of being that Aaron Rodgers of old. Whether or not he does it and throws 3 interceptions or pick sixes or not, but I expect him to come out this weekend firing. I don't know. I have a weird feeling about it. How about you?
Amber, I will say this. You kind of saw Rodgers try to push the ball downfield early against Seattle. He had a couple deep shots to Devontae, to Garrett Wilson, and he missed them. Like the first play of the game,
yeah.
Garrett Wilson deep. Garrett's got 2-3 steps on his corner. It was Tariq Wilson and Woolen. I always screw the name up. Tariq Woolen. he had a couple steps on him, and Rodgers underthrew him. And again, it was a better play by Woolen. But if that ball is 2 yards ahead, 2 yards in front, which is a throw that Rodgers has made thousands of times in his NFL career, that's a touchdown. And it wasn't because Rodgers. That's happened a lot.
I am not defending Aaron at all, but to me, this feels like I don't know. These last 5 games are going to be really telling for our franchise. Because if Woody sees that Aaron can throw, if he comes back and throws 5 good games, whether or not we win or not, I don't think we're going to win a lot of games, but he comes back and he shows that he's all right. I have a feeling that that's going to be in our sick manager's head, our owner's head, that he's going to want Aaron to stay. You know what I mean? He just likes that. It's about publicity. It's about being in the papers. It's about the offseason. We're off-season champions and in-season chumps. It never fails. You know what I mean? And it's always about the headlines. And that's what's terrible about being a Jet fan, because the next year we're like, yeah, whoa, the headlines, the Jets are going to be this, the Jets are going to be that. And we suck. You know, it's just.
They suck. They suck. Here's the thing. The one thing I said during the Seahawks game that reigns true today, the Jets should try to lose out, objectively. You go to 3-14, you get a top 5 pick, everything else. Are they going to lose out? Of course not, because all of a sudden,
I don't see that the same.
Comes out like a bat out of hell in most of these games.
No.
So just incredible how it always seems to happen.
The reason I don't see that was wanting to lose out is because you just spoke 10 minutes ago about how Garrett Wilson and all these guys are starting to take time out on their own. You want the team to be winning at the end of the year. You want these kids to feel like next year there's some promise. When you go out and you get swept out for the rest of the year, they feel like shit. At least if you lose, at least if you win the last couple games or whatever it is, the draft pick doesn't matter, man. Whatever it is, it is. You know, you really want your team to win. You want the players that are on the team to be hopeful for next year. You want your big players to be like, hey, man, you know, we had a shitty season, but you know what? Hey, Aaron turned it around, and I felt like that I want to be part of this team next year, rather than, you know, with a new coaching staff, rather than being, hey, we just went 3-13 or 3-14, whatever it is, and we suck. You know what I mean? Like,
listen, I get that, and I'm not disagreeing with that point, truly, but at the same time, how much confidence can you bring for Garrett and Brees, where let's say they win 3 of the next 5. Let's say that for this exercise, they win 3 of the next 5. They're 6-11 to end the year. Okay, for the 3rd straight year they've been in the NFL, they've finished below 500. For the 3rd straight year, they missed the playoffs. They're not going to gain confidence at the end of the year because they're still being misused and they're still not winning. This is a transformational thing that has to happen, not at the end of this season, but with the new coach and general manager. This is not going to, nothing's going to change for the future of this franchise until they hire the new staff.
I agree with that, but I also I also don't agree that, like, it's just like a fan, just like us. If the Jets lose 4 in a row, we come back and we win 1. What do we feel? We feel great. We feel, okay, well, hey, we might suck. We might not finish out the year. We might not make the playoffs, but you know what? That felt good. And that feels good to players. So I don't agree with the issue. And tanking doesn't work for us anyway.
Well, Hamburger, here's the thing. I'm somewhere in the middle between you guys. Like last year, to me, I didn't care about draft picks or whatever. It's like, win games. This coaching staff's coming back next year. This GM's coming back next year. Like, these players, I don't want them to get used to losing. Now, with all the changes coming, most notably GM, entire front office, and coaching staff, if they lose, well, I'd prefer them to win. I'm not going to sit here and lose, like root against them. Like, it is what it is. Like, you know what I mean? Like the only way the confidence will be restored amongst the players is if the organization hires a real coaching staff that they believe in. So I'm not really concerned about that because, like, everyone knows what the season is. But last year I felt like it was different because that regime they were all coming back. So I thought there was value in winning 3 of their final 5, like showing they didn't quit on Saleh and company at the end last year, getting the monkey off their back with that New England losing streak, 15 in a row in that last game. To me, it's different this time around. There's 5 games to go. If they're going to win any of them, stick it to the Dolphins once. That'd be awesome. But like, I'm not gonna lose sleep if they end up losing these games. I don't think in the big picture it matters. And as Nick points out, you could argue it's better off long term if they lose out. I'm not gonna say that because I think some of that's overrated. We've seen what's happened when the Jets have had top picks, or they're not going to get Trevor Lawrence. Well, great, thank God they didn't. But you know what I mean? Like I just think you got to see how it plays out.
I get you. Hey, before you let me go, I just want before we go. This is for my daughter. Last night, her elves. I don't know why, but they came down and they wanted to be part of the Jake Asman show.
Hey, whoa, hold on, I hit the wrong button. There it is.
So
yeah,
they got a hold of my mic last night. They got a hold of the Jets thing. So my daughter wanted to make sure that they got shown on the show today because she was very excited that they must listen to the show too. So.
It's interesting you showed those. I'm going to share a quick family story. My wife is terrified of those elves things. So, like, her family will hide, like, different elves all throughout the house. And when I'm over my in-laws, I will literally hear piercing screams from her. I don't understand it. What is with the elves that is, A, either so fun for people, and B, so traumatizing for others? Can someone explain that to me?
I know for me, it was never part of my childhood. These elves come here from Santa. I guess all of a sudden this is a new thing, and they come here and they kind of invade your house. We had one that was bad that I ended up having to get rid of. He did some bad things, but it's I don't know. I don't know. They watch the kids.
I guess traumatizes my wife, so I still don't understand it.
They do some bad things sometimes. So, but,
well, I'll tell you what,
hey,
Hamburger, another great call by you. Appreciate you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, the great Hamburger checking in. Hit the like button for the Hamburger. Some super chats here. Bo writes in, what defense does Vrabel favor? What's best for us? Nick, your thoughts on this?
Well, he runs a multiple and again, most defensive coordinators, now defensive-minded guys, they run the multiple. Sometimes they're going to be in a 3-4. Other times they're going to be in the 5-2. Otherwise, others it's going to be in the wide 9. It's not just one simple scheme for a player like a coach like Vrabel. In that way, he is very similar to Belichick, where he's going to try to confuse you at times in terms of defensive alignment. So this notion of the Robert Saleh, Jeff Ulbrich, we're going to play our cover 3, and this is how we're going to run things, and you know what's coming, and you're not going to be able to score on us, that's going to go by the wayside if Vrabel would be the guy. That's going to be a lot of confusion, a lot of communication, and potentially it could work for the Jets. Otherwise, it could be a struggle early on.
Doug checks in. I'm Team Vrabel, but would love Carroll as the GM or president of football ops. Well, based on what Yogi Roth said that we opened the show with, he doesn't want to be a GM or a president of football ops. He wants to be an NFL head coach.
So, yeah, listen, and I said this before on this show last week. I'll say it again. People that want a president of football operations and a GM, you guys are misunderstanding the process of how this usually goes. Teams hire general managers who then hire head coaches. And if things go well for that general manager, they are then promoted to president of football operations and then with the GM title. It's essentially a little more cash for them. It's more incentive, and it's an added title. You do not want a president of football ops, then a GM, then a head coach, because there can be a disconnect from time to time. If you have one person running the construction of the roster and one running the implementation of that roster, that's the way to do things. And if it's going well, then you promote the guy who is constructing that roster. So there's a notion that the Jets have to hire a president of football ops. Throw that out the window. That's not something that needs to happen. You need to find the right GM, and the right GM becomes the player, the director of football ops role.
Lee Van, nice hat, Jake. Circa, baby. If you're going to Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino, no better place to stay. PBM, we get Vrabel, then I'm back in for better or worse. Oh, baby, sound the alarm. Wow. Mike's back in. Holy crap. Mike, you've always been in. All right. You love the Jets. They're in your soul. You never were out. I don't buy it. Curtis Martin for life writes in, do the Jets have a Christmas Carol on their horizon?
Worse there.
Well done, Curtis Martin.
So,
what was that, Nick? My
the
rim shot cut you
alliteration
off.
time of phrases. Good Lord.
Anyway, Mike says, East Coast, Will Ferrell. Thank you, Mike. I guess I'll give you the laughing for that. Ladies and gentlemen, more of your calls right now. We say hello to the great Kyle Clifton, who's next. Hey, Kyle.
Hey guys, how are you?
You know,
I wanted to ask Nick kind of a question first about the president of football ops. Was Elway someone who came in and just took that role right away? Like maybe he served both functions.
He was. He served. I think the Broncos kind of did it otherwise, where it was they hired him as president of football ops, and then it was okay. He's going to run the construction of the roster. He's going to be the de facto GM, and that's how the system's going to run. Let's also remember that Elway didn't exactly have the greatest track record. Of course, he brought in Manning, and all that was really good. But outside that couple year run, they were really bad under Elway until they brought in a GM to allow everything to sort of stabilize.
Right. I know Jake had said that it might not be the job that Carroll wants, but if there's not a coaching job out there, I think we all think that we would benefit from having kind of a buffer between the Johnsons and the football operations. But that's kind of here nor there until we kind of get into the process. Boy Green was talking about Cimini's report about Arthur Smith this morning. I like the idea of pairing Arthur Smith with.
I'm gonna lose my gosh darn bananas.
With Andy Weidel from the Steelers, the assistant GM.
Yeah, Weidel. Yeah.
Yeah, he's someone who's been with winning organizations over his entire career, which is
he has
20 plus years at the Eagles, right?
Yep.
Was it the Ravens as well? Maybe.
I think it was Baltimore for like a couple of years, but he jumped to Philly. He's been with Philly for a while.
So I would hope that he is going to be on the 33rd team's list of GMs to interview, and if that is the case, maybe someone like Arthur Smith, and we probably have our prejudices against Arthur Smith on this channel because of Bang's vociferous support of and sometimes obnoxious support of Arthur Smith on this channel, but he might be a guy that might be worth a second look. He was paired with Terry Fontenot in Atlanta. Fontenot, for some reason, is still there, and they're struggling a little bit in what remains a bad division. It's just that it's an interesting potential pairing. That's what I think you have to look at in these interviews. Potential successful pairings of guys who work together and share a vision. That's kind of how I think we have to go. Yeah. Your guys' thoughts on that?
I think Arthur Smith would be a disaster. I mean, that's you essentially say, okay, we're going to hire an offensive guy, but we're going to do the same thing we did with Adam Gase. Former head coach, had minimal success with his team, couldn't get the quarterback position right, but we're going to give him a second shot. To me, if you're going to go offensive mind, it's best to get someone that's brand new coming in that can offer a new perspective. Arthur Smith has a set offense that he's run now for a very long time.
So who's that guy? Like, you look at a guy like Todd Monken, he did not succeed at the college level as a head coach, right? He had a woeful record at Ole Miss. So
I think he was at Southern Miss, but he turned that program
Southern
around.
Miss?
They were a joke. Yeah, that was that's also a long time ago. I mean, I wouldn't even count that as far as like head coaching
knows how to run
experience.
offenses.
But I mean, we see this where guys get second chances and they flourish a little bit. We've seen it in the NFL. We saw it certainly here in New York with Joe Torre. I don't want to just exclude someone from consideration because they had kind of a mid first go of it. So
I think it would be a disaster. I think you don't learn. I think that's essentially saying we didn't learn anything from Adam Gase, and we didn't learn anything from the other issues. We're going to bring in the offensive-minded guys who've done this before because we want veteran coaches. We don't want the defensive-minded veteran coaches. So we're just going to rehash and roll the dice back on Adam Gase. I think that's a disaster waiting to happen.
Look, Arthur Smith, I think, has proven he's a very good OC. Like, he's done a nice job in Pittsburgh. There's no one can deny that. But I don't want him as a head coach. That wouldn't excite me at all.
It would be the exact same thing. To me, it would be the exact same thing of hiring Adam Gase. That's all it is. If you want an offensive guy, if you're looking for an offensive-minded guy, you should be looking for the younger minds. Joe Brady. I know Monken's not young, but he hasn't been a head coach before. And I think his work with Lamar, his work previously with the Jets, I think he's the kind of guy that you can look at and say, okay, he's worked with offenses. He knows how to develop quarterbacks. Let's see him with this system, with him leading the charge. Just to me, the top two guys. Again, if Ben Johnson's not coming here, it's Brady and Monken.
A great mustache that Arthur Smith has, though. We gotta call it for what it is.
Listen, you got to roll with it.
I mean, I'm one who can manalize at times, and I certainly respect the stash of Arthur Smith. There's no doubt. I certainly respect this guy's phone calls. Typically, when we can hear him and his internet is not trash. JJ is up next. Hello, JJ.
If my internet is trash today, I'll just call back from my laptop. Just let me know.
All right. Well, so far, so good.
All right. So I want to go back, right, a couple of years ago to when Joe Douglas made the coaching hire of Robert Saleh. See, where Joe Douglas ultimately failed is that he allowed Robert Saleh to pick rookies all around the board, right? Like he had a rookie offensive coordinator, then they had a rookie quarterback. And I know you're going to say rest in peace to the quarterbacks coach who had passed away that year. He was supposed to be the veteran presence or the senior presence in the coaching staff, but it just, you can't do that. Like you can't have a rookie general manager with a rookie head coach, with a rookie offensive coordinator, with a rookie quarterback and expect any success come from that.
Here we go.
So I don't. Is it messing up again?
It started.
Are we good?
Yep.
Okay. But I don't mind if we get another rookie head coach. We just have to have his offensive and defensive coordinators just have to be experienced guys in the league. So we shouldn't be too afraid to go out there and get somebody who's going to be a rookie head coach. We just have to make sure that we don't just cheer for every single thing this organization does. And I don't understand why, but for some reason, anytime this team does anything, we just start clapping and we're applauding and we're like, all right, we're moving in the right direction. We can disagree with the moves that this franchise makes. And I know everyone says I'm the doom and gloom fan. I'm always negative. I don't like anything we do. Well, we haven't made the playoffs in 14 years. So clearly the decisions that we've been making have been the wrong decisions. And if more of the fan base actually stood up and called out this ownership, I think he would listen. I think he does listen to us, and I think he's been showing us that because he got us Devontae Adams. We wanted him. The list goes on and on of moves that he's made to help this team that we as fans called for. So let's just stop applauding everything he does, and let's speak up a little bit and say some more stuff instead of just being yes men to everything that this organization does.
JJ, who do you want as the head coach?
So my number one choice would be Vrabel or Ben Johnson. It's a tie for me. I'm leaning more towards Vrabel. I know everyone says he's a defensive-minded head coach, but I mean, this guy understands football, right? And he's shown us that he can develop and get the best out of a quarterback. Example, Ryan Tannehill. But I also really like Ben Johnson. But if we do get Ben Johnson, then we have to have some, senior people who've done roles. I don't want him to come in.
Both are off the board. I mean, I think those are ones that most.
So if they're both
are off the board, what do you
if
want?
they're both off the board, right now, here's where people are going to think I'm a little bit crazy. I would try to get Deion Sanders. I would see if he's interested. I'll try to get Deion Sanders. Hey, listen, you call me crazy. If Ryan Day gets fired from Ohio State, I don't think that would be the worst decision in the world to hire him as the head coach and bring some veteran people in his coaching staff. You can laugh all you want, but this guy is a proven head coach who wins games and he knows offense and he knows how to coach some offensive football. So,
Ryan Day, I mean, his NFL experience, I think he was a quarterback coach for a couple of years. You want to make him a head coach in the NFL?
Okay, we've seen Chip. Say what you want about Chip Kelly, but when Chip Kelly first went there with Nick Foles, what was their record?
I will not, as an Eagles fan, be told how Chip Kelly acted during my tenure. That man ruined my life for 4 years.
Yeah, because he's an idiot. But you cannot say that Chip Kelly didn't have he had a successful season while he was with the Eagles. So, and we've seen other college coaches come into the NFL and perform good. So now I'm not saying Ryan Day is my first. I'm not saying Ryan Day. I'm not saying Ryan Day is my first choice.
JJ,
I'm just
name me a recent college coach that then went to the NFL. That's good. And don't say Harbaugh. He was an NFL coach first.
Jake.
JJ.
I'm not saying Ryan Day is my first.
No, but you just said something I don't believe is true.
I'm on my fourth option, and I'm just throwing names out there. So don't try to say, "Oh, JJ's an idiot. He thinks Ryan Day would be." I'm just saying he could possibly be a good head coach. And then
but here's the thing: I was asking about your second tier guys. The guys Vrabel and Johnson are off the board.
So in my second tier, I like Deion Sanders. I do like Ryan Day. I also like Todd Monken. The list goes on and on. I don't want Rex Ryan, and I don't want John Gruden. I don't want them at all. Stay the hell away. I also don't want Pete Carroll.
J-E-T-S, Jets. I love Fireman Ed, too.
Yeah, I don't want Pete Carroll. I don't want John Gruden. I don't want Rex Ryan. They're not good coaches. Say again?
I agree with that. I agree. No veteran guys like this who have a penchant for struggles recently.
Now, also the what's his name? Aaron Glenn. He would be in my second tier as well. Okay. So Todd Monken, Aaron Glenn. Like I said, I like Coach Deion Sanders. I like Ryan Day. I think he would do a good job. I don't know. I'm not an expert. I'm just giving you my thing. Those would be second tier guys that I like. It depends on who gets fired. But if Mike McCarthy gets fired from Dallas, I would love to get Mike McCarthy. I know you guys are going to disagree with that, but he's a winning head coach. You guys want Rex Ryan over Mike McCarthy, and Mike McCarthy has actually won a Super Bowl, and he has an all-time winning record, and Rex Ryan has a losing record. So call me crazy, but I would like Mike McCarthy.
I mean, Mike McCarthy had one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time in his prime for 10 years.
What does he have in Dak Prescott? And he's still in playoff contention with.
Dak, when healthy, has been a top 10 quarterback in the regular season.
Yeah, but not all time though. Dak is not an all-time great quarterback, and Mike McCarthy has proven that he can win games with Dak. And I think with the right situation coming over to New York Jets, I think Mike McCarthy would do a good job. And I wanted him before he went to Dallas. I wanted him. That's who I wanted. I wanted Mike McCarthy, an established head coach. So before you guys laugh at me for throwing Mike McCarthy out there, remember you guys. And when I'm saying you guys, I'm not talking about Jake and Nick. I'm talking about the comments. When you read the comments. Okay. I'm talking to them. When I say you guys, I'm always referring to the people in the comments and the people who comment after the show is over, because I go sometimes and I read them and they say, "Oh, JJ's doom and gloom. JJ's an idiot. JJ is this." You guys are the same people who would rather have Rex Ryan over. Some of you guys would rather have Rex Ryan over Bill Belichick, which is still crazy to me, but we don't have to get into it. I get it. Without Tom Brady, even though he drafted Tom Brady.
I'd rather Rex over McCarthy, by the way, JJ.
Yeah, and I think that's crazy.
I don't. I think suggesting Ryan Day is crazy.
Well, first off, telling me that Chip Kelly was actually a good coach. I
didn't say he was a good coach. I said he had one successful season. I said he had one successful season. He's not a good. He wasn't a good head coach, but he had one. He did have one successful season, and I think that year, if I'm not mistaken, Nick Foles had the highest QBR in the entire league. And then he traded him
a year after. He traded.
Yeah, I'm not saying he would. I'm just saying he did do a good. He did do one year. He had a good job, just like Adam Gase in Miami had 1 year where he led them to the playoffs, and then that's why the Jets thought, oh shit, he beat New England and he went to the playoffs with Miami, so let's hire him.
Should be dragged through the streets of Philadelphia and be tried for crimes against humanity. I think that man. I will never. Anytime someone brings up Chip Kelly, my blood boils. You see,
well, you brought him up. I didn't bring him up. You brought him up. I said Ryan Day, and he was like, "Tell me a coach. Look how it went with Chip Kelly."
You tried to defend him. I blame you.
No, I'm just saying.
JJ, you couldn't name me a college coach that went to the NFL that had success. Because it doesn't exist.
Off the top of my head, I would have to do some research. Off the top of my head, I can't think, but I know there's been college coaches who's gone to the NFL.
None in the last 25 years. I mean, the only guy I could think of would be like Barry Switzer, who inherited a stacked dynasty Cowboys team.
All right. I mean, there's been college guys who go to the NFL as coordinators and then later on become head coaches.
You can't even say like Pete Carroll. He started off as an NFL guy before he eventually went to USC. All the guys that had any success from college to the NFL, they were NFL guys first and then went to college.
Well, Ryan Day was in the NFL at one point as a quarterbacks coach. And if you want to make him the head coach hold on.
Who do you want next? Lou Holtz?
I never said we're using Ryan Day to call JJ an idiot now. That's one suggestion out of a list of many. You can nitpick that one suggestion if you want.
All right, give me a list, and I want your.
All right, so here's my list. Let's start from the top.
I want a list like this.
We got to get rid of Yul Brick and then go after Gabriel first. Then I want Queensberry. You got to look at the monkey guy. I like Flo Names. And maybe Slow Dick in Houston is the answer.
I want a list like that, JJ. All right, here we're going to go. I'm going to give you the ISO shot. Give me your coaching list for Gator.
Coaching list. Here we go. We got Mike Vrabel, Ben Johnson. What's the guy from Detroit? I'm forgetting his name. Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn. That's in the top. Second tier, we got Deion Sanders. We got Ryan Day. We got Todd Monken. Who am I forgetting? I'm forgetting people now. See, you guys put me on the spot, so this is hard to do.
You defended Chip Kelly. Don't blame us.
I didn't defend Chip Kelly. I said he had one good season with the Eagles. There's a bunch of guys. You can't put me on the spot. I'll call back for the second show today. I'll have a list. I'll give you my list. But my top tier guys, let's keep it the same, is Mike Vrabel or Ben Johnson. If they're off the table, then we can go to the second tier where we have the Todd Munkins of the world. We have the Aaron Glenns of the world. We have the Deion Sanders of the world, who I think would do a really good job. We have the Ryan Days of the world, who I think could do a good job in the NFL.
What about Urban Meyer?
No, Urban Meyer did not do a good job. But let's talk about Urban Meyer, though, real quick. Let's talk about Urban Meyer. Hold on. Let's talk about Urban Meyer. When you go back and you look at it, right? When you go back and you look at it, and I think Doug Peterson is a really good coach. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, really good.
I think he's the greatest coach in Eagles history. Debating on that, Nick. Okay.
No.
He got you guys a Super Bowl.
Yeah, and then he promptly shit himself the rest of his carear. I'm very appreciative of him. I love him. He's got a statue. He's got a statue in his name. That does not make him the best coach in Eagles history.
So
the same way that Nick Foles is not the best quarterback in Eagles history.
Who's the greatest Eagles coach, in your opinion?
Andy Reid.
I disagree. He never got it done. He never won a Super Bowl. And that's what it's about. It's about winning the Super Bowl. That's why I don't understand this Rex Ryan shit, because Rex Ryan never got a Super Bowl. He got us 2 AFC championships.
Rex Ryan didn't have Aaron Rodgers or Patrick Mahomes.
And Doug Peterson had Nick Foles, and he got them a Super Bowl. Doug Peterson, if he gets fired, is on my list too. Yes. Anyway, sorry, Nick. Go on.
All right, let me give you this. First off, Doug Peterson took over for an Eagles team that went 7-9 the year prior. Andy Reid took over an Eagles team that was 3-13 and still to this day is considered one of the worst teams in NFL history. What Andy did to rebuild that team from the ground up with McNabb, with Jim Johnson and everything like that, that is still one of the biggest turnarounds in football history. Philadelphia, for the first 40 years of their existence, 50 years of their existence, was very similar to the Jets because they couldn't get out of their own freaking way. Andy Reid comes in, and all of a sudden there is some semblance of competency. They get to 4 straight conference championships. They get to a Super Bowl, everything else. Just because he doesn't win the big one does not mean that he is suddenly less than Doug Peterson, who finished at or around 500, if I remember correctly, due to his career. Just because he had the 1 year, the pinnacle of his career, does not make him the best
pinnacle.
coach.
He took you guys to the playoffs after that, too.
And what did he? And how many playoff games did he win?
Okay, let me ask you a question. Who was the head coach before Doug Peterson?
Excuse me.
I couldn't do the debating the best Eagle coach of all time with JJ anymore. JJ, thank you. The Jets hire Ryan Day. That will be the last day we do the show. God.
You know what it was? I apologize. I apologize to all the viewers. He said Chip Kelly, and my blood instantly began to boil. And I wanted his head shaven and want him just completely just wiped off the face of the planet.
God. Shout out to JJ, though. I love his calls. You never know where he's going. Rick Kent, how about a 5-spot of channel memberships from the great Rick Kent?
It's the Asmaniac membership raffle. For every membership gifted, you receive 1 ticket entered in the raffle to win epic prizes.
5 entries for Rick Kent to win the Garrett Wilson jersey once we hit 100 members. We got 5 earlier from Luppy, so they have the best chance so far to win that jersey. Kick-Ass Jets, Ross, Demolition Smash, E.K. Lampert 924, Mackenzie Bates, all receiving channel memberships. Congrats to the 5 people who just got a membership. Super chat from Kyle Clifton. Thank you, Kyle. I like Weedle. I'm not necessarily saying Smith's the guy, but the pairing is important. It cannot be a shotgun marriage of guys unfamiliar with each other.
Sure.
They are worth an interview. Gain and Brady too. So I agree with the idea of you want the GM and coach to be aligned, but that's why I think if the Jets hire a GM first, well, then obviously the GM is going to be in on the head coaching interviews, and I think you should value his input the most if you're making him the GM to have faith in the coaching pick.
Complete name here that I agree with, Gain and Brady from Buffalo. It hasn't really worked out for the Giants with the Shane and Dable relationship, but I think Shane has more to do with that team's struggles than Dable. I think Dable's a good coach that is getting screwed by the personnel he has to coach right now. But ultimately, Joe Brady and Gain developing an offense together, I would sign up for that. Buffalo's done well since they've gotten there.
25 writes in, I'd like Pop Warner as the Jets' next head coach.
Ring him up, Frankenstein 2.0. Why don't we just listen? I saw a comment here. Why don't you just bring back Eubank? Just bring him back from the dead.
Yeah.
Why not?
Hologram. Why not? I'm in. Ladies and gentlemen, Kyle Clifton with a super chat for us. Vrabel, Brady, BJ, Glenn, Smith, Munkin, Kingsbury.
You can cross Kingsbury off that list because, again, I don't. If you're a veteran offensive-minded head coach and you were fired for a reason. And Kingsbury was fired because he could not win in Arizona, even when he had the big year where they made the playoffs. They started out, 10-0, 11-0, and just completely collapsed down the stretch. That's been his MO now for a very, very long time. So to me, I just look at the young offensive minds and the veteran offensive minds, and I'll take the young guys every day of the week.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bo is getting in on the membership gifts, baby. Let's go.
It's the Asmaniac membership raffle. For every membership gifted, you receive one ticket entered in the raffle to win epic prizes.
I mean, this is what it's all about, baby. Shout out to Bo. 5 more names. David Toast, Charles Sanders, Milk Money, David Gerard, Pocono Jet. Bo, 5 tickets will be entered on your behalf for the Garrett Wilson jersey. Ladies and gentlemen, Fiore with a super chat here. Can they interview Vrabel in season? Give him whatever it takes to get a yes. Instant culture changer and respect. Let him decide on Aaron Rodgers. Do it. Well, he's a consultant right now for the Cleveland Browns, so you would need to get permission from the Browns to interview him.
Right, and I was going to ask that. I'm not sure what his full position is in Cleveland, but by that regard, you would have to wait till after the season.
Knob Craft with a super chat for us. What about Trent Dilfer as a head coach? He'd be easy to steal from UAB.
Get every college coach in there. Throw him in the NFL, baby.
FPP says Adam Stenovich for head coach. He's the Green Bay offensive line coach?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how Green Bay's system is. I would stick away from anyone in Green Bay just because I get the Nathaniel Hackett heebie-jeebies. But to me, listen, if you're going to look for a head coach for some good offenses and some good overall groups across the NFL, you want the guys that are involved in the true game planning and play calling process and development of quarterbacks. I don't know if he's there. I don't know Green Bay's structure, but guys like Brady, guys like Kellen Moore, guys like Munkin, who have historically and consistently worked with quarterbacks, are the ones you should be looking at, in my opinion.
Ladies and gentlemen, he is the great Nick Faria, who joins us every single Thursday on the program. Nick, you've been parked for a while. Have a magical day, and hopefully the conversation about Chip Kelly didn't already ruin it.
Yeah, I'm just my blood. Even then, I'm just like, I hate that guy. Anyway, appreciate it, guys. Have a great day. Ladies
and gentlemen, Nick Faria in his weekly spot on the Jake Asman Show. Appreciate it. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Let's get to more of your calls right now. Ladies and gentlemen, we did the rankings yesterday for the monthly Asmaniac Power Rankings. One of the highlights of the month included one of our great callers, known as Black Gypsy, going head-to-head in what was then known as the Asshole Gauntlet. For 15 minutes straight, he dealt with anger, rage, personal attacks, character assassination, and attempts to discredit him as a caller and as maniac. He stood up to Bobby Midnight, Alan, and Gary and lived to tell the tale. And that's why he placed at number 6 on the rankings for last month. Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time in December, we say hello to Black Gypsy. What's up, Black Gypsy?
Yo, what's up, Jake?
How we doing?
Not bad, not bad, not bad. Bobby, love you. You've been way nicer. It's been awesome having Bobby calls now. Bobby's chill. Alan's still being Alan. And Gary's still being Gary.
Mm-hmm.
JJ, I love JJ because he just says whatever he thinks, whatever makes sense. He just, listen, no college coaches, bro. College coaches are horrible. Let's not do that. So I would go Johnson, Vrabel, or Rexy. Rexy, if we get a good offensive coordinator and somebody else to back up his staff. I like the attitude of Rex. It's probably not going to work, but I would go with Rex. So the one thing that kills me when Jets people say this, it blows my mind. We as Jets fan can never, ever say these words. Bill Belichick can never be our coach. I fucking hate Bill Belichick. He destroyed our seasons for years. For us as fans to be like, let's get Bill Belichick. It's just blasphemy. Blasphemy. That's the one thing that JJ says that just boils my blood. Like, bro, you cannot. No Bill Belichick. Like, he loses if he doesn't have Tom Brady.
No, you can't.
Like, why would he want Bill Belichick? Like, no, thank you. As for everyone else, love y'all. Love the channel. This is the best part of the season. Like, the season's already took a shit. Like, the shenanigans that happen on the show is by far the best part of the season so far.
Well, Black Gypsy, I got to get your thoughts on what has obviously transpired since you've been on the show. You know, you asked for Bobby to be nicer, be the jolly Bobby that we love. What were your thoughts when you watched this?
Oh, no.
I love the explosion at the end. This is awesome tumble. This, oh, he's down, man, down. That was awesome, bro. Show's the best, bro. Love watching y'all. Love all the callers calling in. Everybody have a happy holiday.
Mike
Jets.
You're the man. Great call from the number 6 caller during the month of November. Hit the music. March is going to be nuts, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get into more of your calls. Jay Coleman is up next. Hello, Jay. Jay?
Hey, Jake, how's it going, buddy?
Hey,
How
Jay,
you doing?
In 10 minutes when you see this, I'm doing well.
How you doing, Jake? Everything good?
Just wait. You'll know.
Can you hear me?
Oh, we hear you. Just wait.
Hey, Jake, can you hear me?
Nope.
Sorry about that, but okay.
Hey, Jay Coleman, welcome to the rankings.
But about the coaches, I got my top 4. You're gonna call me crazy. You saw my handle there, Gruden guy. But I do like John Gruden. There's something there. Call me crazy, call me nuts. There's something there with John Gruden. But about the coaches, I got my top 4. But I do like John Gruden. There's something there. Call me crazy. My next guy is going to be Vrabel. And then Flores and then Rex.
Really?
My next guy is going to be Vrabel. Yep. And then Flores and then Rex. I'm a sentimental guy for Rex. I never partied so much in 2009 and 2010 in my life. I had those 2 AFC back-to-back championships, so Rex is a sentimental favorite of mine. Yeah, I like Rex. But as far as Pete Carroll, he's my second-tier guy, or maybe a front office guy if possible. Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yep.
I like Rex. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
That's all I got for you, Jake. Have a good holiday season, and we'll reconvene in 2025.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jay Coleman checking in. You can't make it up. Great call. You call back anytime. That's greatness right there. God. One of your calls right now. Indy Jets is next. What's up, Indy?
Hey, Jake. I'm going to say if we hire that Ohio State, I don't know what I don't know what he's smoking, but if they hire the Ohio State coach, I promise you I will burn. I'm a Michigan fan, so I will burn every Jets thing I have. There's no way we're going to hire an Ohio State coach. What that would be that's just got to be, that's worse than any Gary take.
It's true. I mean, I don't understand. Like Ryan Day just lost to 6-5 Michigan with a walk-on quarterback. Like he was born on third base and thinks he hit a triple, to quote Jim Harbaugh. Like I'm not hiring any college coach. The only exception would be like Jim Harbaugh last year because he's an NFL guy that happened to be at college. Pete Carroll was an NFL guy that happened to be at college. There's a difference with those guys.
Yeah. So here's an idea. What would you think of hiring Rex and giving him a 2-year contract, and yet bring in Ben Johnson with Rex, pay Ben Johnson head coach money, so he'll leave, have him the assistant head coach and offensive coordinator. I know. And say in 2 years, Ben, this job is yours.
Why would he wait 2 years? He could be a head coach this year. Why would he just? And if he doesn't want to leave, he'll just stay. Andy, I love you, but we got to be fair. You're gonna bash JJ's take and Gary taking strays, and then you're gonna suggest Rex on a 2-year deal, and then bring in Ben Johnson and pay him head coaching money. It's a lateral move. He'll stay in Detroit, where he's got the best O-line in football. He's got a great group of pass catchers, a great running game, and an outstanding quarterback, and continue to dominate there and then pick whatever job he wants. Maybe he's waiting for the Bengal job to open so he could coach Joe Burrow, for example. Come on. I love you, Indy, but that makes no sense. He's not taking a lateral move to go to the Jets with Rex. He's going to laugh and be like, wait a second, a guy who hasn't been a head coach in the NFL since 2016, I'm going to work under him? F that. Never going to happen. If Ben Johnson wants to coach the Jets, he gets the job as the head coach. And I love Rex, but come on. The takes have been flowing today, man. Feels like we should keep it rolling with wild takes.
Plants are trying to kill me, so I think I'll eat a stick of butter. Yeah, ladies, you can do what music.
Hello, Gary.
Hey, Jake. I want to pull my hair out from all the contradictions. You guys like Cliff Kingsbury and Todd Munkins. Those are college guys. But then we can't hire a college guy.
Well, Cliff played in the NFL and has been an NFL head coach and now is a successful offensive coordinator.
All right, but he comes from college. His pedigree is in college.
But it's a little different when the guy played in the pros and has actually been coaching and had, I don't want to say his tenure in Arizona was great. He obviously got fired, but he did go to the playoffs one of the years he was there.
Todd Monken is no bones about it, a college guy. He's a college system. He's a college guy.
I mean, he was an OC in Tampa. He was an OC in Cleveland. He's the OC of the Ravens right now. He obviously coached at Georgia too, but he's to me an NFL guy too.
Okay, if you ask 10 football fans, you said is Todd Monken an NFL coach or a college coach? What would they say?
I think they'd say NFL, Gary. I disagree with you.
All right, okay. I just Cliff Tom Coughlin was a college guy. Pete Carroll was a college. I'm not saying he's hire a college guy.
Yeah, but you see what I'm saying? There's a difference between a guy who's known as an established head coach in college versus a guy who maybe coached in college briefly but has an NFL pedigree and NFL background.
I wouldn't hire a college guy. The miss rate is like 90%. I agree with you. I wouldn't do it. But there is a precedence for it. I wouldn't do it. I'm with you in that sense. But I think the hit rate is – it hits. Bill Parcells was a college guy, but for every one Bill Parcells,
Bill Parcells is an NFL guy.
He coached at Air Force as his first head coaching job.
Okay, but there's a difference though. Like there's look at the resumes and compare the amount of NFL experience versus college.
That's my point about Monken. Monken's got way more college.
He doesn't actually. Monken has more NFL experience than college.
He was the head coach at SMU.
Count Todd Monken's years in the NFL versus college. It's not even close.
I know Boomtown's already in the chat trying to prove me wrong, so he'll have that fact check for me in 5 minutes.
Let's just go through his resume. He started off as a coach in 1989 as a grad assistant, which doesn't really matter. Grand Valley State. Then he went to Notre Dame as a grad assistant. Eastern Michigan from 93 to 97. DB coach, wide receivers coach. Promoted to OC from 98 to 99 at Eastern Michigan. Louisiana Tech, running backs, wide receivers. It looks like, based on this, he was in college till 2006.
Don't count the grad assistant. Count the coaching.
Okay.
Not the
Well,
assistant.
he gets to the NFL for the first time for 3 years with the Jaguars as a wide receivers coach. Oklahoma State. He's back in college now for 2 years as an OC. Head coach at Southern Miss from 13 to 15. Then he leaves to be the Bucs OC from 16 all the way until 2018. Then he goes to Cleveland as the Browns OC. Has a 2-year stint in Georgia. Now he's been with the Ravens the last 2 years. It's way more recent NFL than college. That's what we're talking about.
All right. There's more NFL experience in there with Monken than I thought. I'll give you that. Then the other thing Nick said was you can't hire an offensive coach who has been fired. And then he said Andy Reid is the best coach the Eagles have ever had, who was a head coach, an offensive-minded head coach for the Eagles who was fired. I don't follow that train of thought. You can't hire Cliff because he's an offensive-minded guy who was fired. But you can hire Andy Reid for sure, who's the best. And I don't disagree with him. Andy Reid is a handful of best coaches ever. But he was an offensive-minded coach who was fired. So,
well, I think it's because fired that doesn't have the resume of proving he's a great coach. Andy Reid was an amazing head coach in Philly. Okay, he got fired, but then he immediately got a job because he had a proven resume. We see this all the time.
I'm also on the boat of I want a proven head coach. I want either Vrabel, Flores, and if I can't get one of those guys, I would take Gruden as my third pick, although I don't really think Gruden is going to coach in the NFL this year. But it's worth talking to him.
He might get a job. Gruden might get a job. I think he's definitely going to get some interviews.
Those would be my three. Vrabel, 1, Flores, 2, or you could flip those. Either one of those two guys are 1 and 2, and then Gruden 3. I don't want a college coach. I know I came in and defended college coaches. I just did that because there is a small precedent. Jimmy Johnson's another one.
It's a while
and I know
ago,
you're going to say he has what was that?
Well, I'm just saying the examples that we can give of a college
and they're
coach.
40 years old. Billy Walsh, they're 40. Yeah, they're
well, it happened a while ago. We could bring up Jimmy Johnson. We could bring up Barry Schweitzer. We're talking about give me a recent example where the guy left college, went to the NFL, and had success. You really can't find that guy.
The only one you can kind of talk about is you're going to say Pete Carroll was in the NFL first, which is fair.
Yeah, he was a head coach twice before he went to USC.
Harbaugh, you're going to say he's got NFL experience, and Cliff Kingsbury, you're going to say has NFL experience because they were players. Okay. It's fair. I would not hire. I made a joke about hiring, college coach. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I would hire one of those guys. Vrabel, Flores, or Gruden would be the three guys.
I'm good with Vrabel, Flores. They're probably right there in my top tier. Gruden I like. I think I'd take Rex over Gruden though.
This Rex thing has got to. Rex hasn't been a good coach in a long time.
Yeah, but when he was, it was awesome. But I love him.
I love him too, and he wants to be the defensive coordinator.
Here we come, baby. Here we come. Here come the Jets, baby.
I have very strict rules with Rex, though, Gary. He's got to be fat. All right, he's got to be what he was in 09 and 10.
He can beat DC. If he wants to be a Jet, he says he's a Jet. DC is a very important job. You can be the DC, Rex. You can't be the head coach.
And then who's the head coach?
Right? Gruden?
You think John? Rex already bashed Gruden publicly. There's no chance that ever work together.
You can, people can get over that. They were men. You can work together.
I don't see it happening.
Probably not.
Any other thoughts on your mind? What are your thoughts on Caesar salads and cigarettes?
No, there's no really other thoughts on my mind.
What did you make of all the infighting yesterday on the show?
I missed a lot of the infighting. I caught it late. I know kind of what happened. When you're 3-9, there's going to be turmoil in the Jake Asman show locker room. It's just going to happen. People aren't happy. Losing is the cause of many, many, many problems. So,
how do you feel about BMAC? He was under fire a lot. What's your stance on him?
I think BMAC is fine. I like BMAC. I don't understand the hatred and dislike for him. I'm fine with BMAC. He's not my favorite caller. He's not JJ. He's not Allen. But BMAC's a fine caller. I like BMAC. He's fine.
The three of you guys all pretending to like each other. It's hilarious.
No, I actually, I haven't met JJ personally, but I like his calls. And I like Allen. I've met Allen personally. I text with Allen all the time. I personally like Allen.
How would you feel about Ryan Day?
I wouldn't. I don't like that take. I would not hire Ryan Day.
How about Sark? Does Sark want to leave Texas?
No. This is a gimmick. No, don't. It's like Lane Kiffin. I was joking about that. We'd run 100 plays a game and be the most entertaining 3-14 team in the league. Don't do it. No.
I'd rather Lane Kerner coach the Jets than Lane Kiffin.
Me too. Absolutely. Yeah. Does Lane Kerner want the job though?
I don't know. He doesn't call the show anymore. His internet doesn't work.
We need to find out.
Yeah. All right, Gary. We accomplished a lot today. Great work.
All right. Have a good one.
All right. Farewell.
Joe Douglas should have been fired 2 days before he was hired.
Hit the like button if you're just tuning in. It's been a magical show, a show they'll be talking about for decades to come. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time.
B-Mac, look at my TV. B-Mac, I love Aaron Rodgers. Jets, go Jets.
Hey, Jake. I'm going to make it quick because I know my Wi-Fi is shit, as always. Me and Ricky New York has always something coming. But I just wanted to, say that on the bottom of my screen here, that it's a message to Peanut Head. Peanut Head, all right? Can you get him in? Get Peanut Head in, you know what I mean? Because I'm tired of the disrespect of my boy B-Man. Leave B-Man alone, Peanut Head. All right, leave B-Man alone. All right, me and B-Man are like. See, I got a lot of things in common with B-Man. All right, we both smart people. We both intelligent people. All right, we both live on the East Coast. I live in Mass. He lives in obviously in New York. And you know what, Peanut Head, me and B-Man would take you down 2-on-1 in a fight. All right, we will destroy you, Peanut Head. All right, you are worthless. All right, you want to bad mouth Jake on his show yesterday, calling him a nobody, really? And Jake, don't put this guy on your show if he's gonna disrespect you. All right, like that. All right, put people on your show that have respect for you, like me. All right, because I am a respectful man. I'm not disrespectful like Peanut Head, like Dave Brigger, like Peter Castro, like JJ. All right, these guys. And Gary, to say for you to say that I'm not better than Peanut Head and JJ. Come on, man. I'm way better than those two. Those two can hold a candle to me. All right. They can hold a candle. All right. So that's all I gotta say. Peanut Head, fuck you. I'm not going nowhere. All right. I'm still a Jake ass maniac all day, every day, baby.
B-Mac. Hey, you hater guy. Allen sucks and JJ can kiss my ass before I wipe.
B-Mac choosing violence this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, hold on. B-Mac, you stay right there because I know what time it is. Hit the music.
Ladies and gentlemen, sports fans of all ages, welcome to the event of the year, the moment you've all been waiting for. This is the Asmaniac Rumble.
Yo, be mad.
God, here comes the fraud. Here comes the fraud. JJ, hold on. Let me say something, JJ, and I'll give you the fraud.
Yeah, what's up?
First
What's
of all,
up?
yeah, well, what's up, JJ? What's up? You know what? First of all, good morning, and how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm sitting here with my
Doing
cat.
good? All right. Like your cat. Nice cat.
Thanks, man.
Okay. Look, I don't know what your problem is with me, all right? Like, there's plenty of Carlos who are not Jet fans, like Chiefs fans, all right? Jerome the Packer fan, well, he used to call in, maybe the Jets have been bad this year. He hasn't called in no more. But at least I'm consistent, so at least you gotta give me credit for that.
All right, I'm gonna stop you there. We don't want you to be consistent. That's the problem. We want you to stop calling because you're not a Jets fan. You're an Aaron Rodgers. You're an Aaron Rodgers fan, and then you come on the show and you try to disrespect us Jets fan and tell us we're not real fans. You're not a Jets fan. How could you call me not a real Jets fan when you're not a Jets fan yourself? That's where you know what's funny? Back in the day when I used to call you out, I was the first person to call you a fraud, right? I was the first one. And everybody was like, "Oh, JJ, you're an a-hole. You're so mean to B-Mac." Now everyone's opened their eyes and they see you are a fraud. Why you're not? You're talking about something. When Aaron Rodgers leaves, you'll still be here. Why?
You don't. Okay, hold on.
Why will you still be here once Aaron Rodgers leaves?
You don't know nothing about me. So who are you to sit there and call me a fraud? And you don't know, and you don't even know my background. All right.
Listen. I'm sure in real life, you're in your everyday life, you're a great guy. But when it comes to your football, sports takes, and fandoms, you are a fraud. You wear a New York Yankees hat. You wear a New York Yankees hat, and you're allegedly a Green Bay Packer, and you live in like Connecticut or something like that.
Okay, time out. Hold on. JJ, do you think, in your opinion, it would make total sense that a Packer fan who has watched Aaron Rodgers' entire career, So were
you a Packers fan or an Aaron Rodgers fan first? Which one?
I'm a Packer fan and a Rodgers fan.
But which one came first? Which one came first? Which came first?
I'm a Packer fan first because
So go find a Packers channel. I'm gonna find you a Packers channel. I'm gonna find you the Jake Asman for the Packers. It's probably.
Wait. Hold on for a minute. Time out. Let me say my point real quick. Do you think it would make sense as a guy who's a Packer fan, right? And that's Father Aaron Rodgers, right? And now he went to the Jets. And do you make sense that so see you being disrespectful right now, falling asleep while
I'm listening to you.
Right?
I'm listening to you.
No, you're not. You're being disrespectful, coach. You're like, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. Go on.
Wait.
Go on. Okay. Do you think? No, for your opinion, it will make sense, right? As a Packer fan, right? All right. You know what? While you sleep, I'm gonna make my point. Do you think it makes sense as a Packer fan, right? Who's father Rodgers and being a Rodgers fan too? He came to the Jets, and me coming here and root for him. That would make sense because he's a former Packer, now it's a Jet, and I'm a big fan of Rodgers and watch his career. It's not like I'm a Dolphin fan. You act like I'm a Dolphin fan coming on this show, calling in from my division. Packers and Jets, I'm no big rivalry. They have no big rivalry. You know what, JJ?
Let me tell you, B-Mac, where you went wrong was, I forget what show it was, but you went on somebody else's show and you were like, "Oh, you Jets fans should be lucky that I'm a fan of this team because this team sucked for." You remember when you did that? I can't hear you. Your internet.
Rodgers ruined the Jets.
He did ruin the Jets. You want to know how he ruined the Jets? You want to know how
he came to the Jets? You need to be glad that he picked the Jets because the Jets were before he came.
I should be glad. And this is why you piss people off. This is why you piss people off. You want us to be grateful that Aaron Rodgers came to us? You want us to be grateful that Aaron Rodgers came to us?
Hear the truth, JJ. It's the truth. It's the truth. And I'm keeping for Rodgers, and I'm with you. Rodgers is washed, and I think the Jets should move on from him. Rodgers been terrible.
Okay, so why should I be grateful that he chose to come to my team and ruin my team?
They're having garbage. When did the Jets?
Ladies and gentlemen, sports fans of all ages, welcome to the event of the year, the moment you've all been waiting for. This is the Asmaniac Rumble.
If the Jets are washed, hold on. If the Jets are washed, why can't we move on from your sorry ass, you piece of shit? A-Rod gone. You should be gone too. No one wants to hear from your sorry ass. Fuck you. Go away. A-Rod is washed. You're washed. Goodbye. I don't want to hear from you. Go away! You are irrelevant! Irrelevant! A-Rod is washed!
D-man!
You are washed! A-Rod is washed! You are washed! Go away! Go Lions! Go Lions! You fucking piece of shit! Go Lions!
Get out of here, right?
I think we accomplished a lot there. B-Mac taking on all challengers, JJ and Allen. What a show. My ribs hurt from laughing. God. Unreal. Let's say hi to Jason in Jerusalem. We'll somehow try to top that one. What's up, Jason?
Hey, last coach I think that has succeeded in from the NCAA into the NFL is probably Tom Coughlin. Let me know if somebody's more recent than that.
Yeah, that's I mean, well, let's see. Tom, I mean, obviously Tom went to the Jaguars first. He did have previous NFL experience though. You know, he was a Giants wide receiver coach under Parcells. He was the head coach at Boston College, 91 to 93. Then he was the Jags coach, 95 to 02. Yeah, you know, I guess that's fair. But think about how long ago that is.
I realize that you're talking 30 years.
Yep.
You also have an example of a retread coach who actually won, who didn't win the first time, who won the second time.
Yeah, I wouldn't hire a college guy. That'd be there's not anyone out there that I would want.
But in the nature of how things are going, I have my my top 6 list of who the Jets should hire as their head coach. Number 6 is Matt Nagy. Number 5 is Herb Brooks. I mean, you need to have a gold medal coach on your team. If you can get a gold medal, that's great.
Yeah.
4 is Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Okay.
Because who's going to mess with him? 3 is Jimmy Hoffa's ghost.
Okay.
Dig up that south end zone in the old Meadowlands. 2 is Bo Schembechler. Get some good old fashioned him versus Woody Hayes vibes there. And number 1, WFA end zone Jason Giambi.
Jason, thank you. All right. I'm in. Man, I'm still in shock over that last call. That was wild. B-Mac versus JJ. And then Allen calling in. Boomtown writes in, B-Mac, you fool. You should have called out Gary as well and tried to become the only second Asmaniac to ever conquer the asshole gauntlet. You could have. I mean, if B-Mac had better internet, he would have maybe had a better retort to Allen's rampage. But the problem is, every time B-Mac starts talking, he goes, it's all choppy. Jay writes in, I love the show. Jay, despite your take that Mike Vrabel is mid, I love you. And nobody out pizzas the hut like our guy, 3 siblings, Jay. Nobody. Nick Shine says, I compliment the beard and it's gone, bastard. That's right. It's gone, Nick Shine, but it'll be back. Open phone lines before we wrap here. Let's see. Love Bite says, I just got here, and this is what's happening. Yeah. Rick Kent says, okay, now I'm going for real. I think we made Rick Kent late for work because he couldn't stop watching this show. This football team we talk about every day might be 3-9. But in the world of the Asmaniacs, we're never lacking for content around here. Ladies and gentlemen, I definitely will regret this decision. But right now, he's the only one on hold. So we'll see how long this lasts.
Warning, warning, Allen alert. Shit's about to get ugly, folks. Warning, Allen alert. Hide the children.
I just got out of the dentist. My mouth is numb, but when I hear that piece of shit, I had to call in. I'm sorry. So, here is my top 5. Jesse Minnow, number 5. Liam Cohen, number 4. Aaron Glenn, number 3. Mike Vrabel, number 2. Ben Johnson, number 1.
Pretty logical list. Yeah, my number 1 is Vrabel. 2 would be Ben Johnson, so we're pretty much aligned.
Okay.
Did you have Brian
Thank you
Flores
very
on your
much.
list? I didn't hear that.
Jesse Minter, number 5.
Yeah, who?
Liam Cohen, number... What?
Did you say Brian Flores? I didn't hear you.
No Blind Flores.
No Flores. Okay.
Thank you very much. Have a good one.
And enjoy the recovery from the dentist. JJ with a super chat. BMAC didn't even make it out of round 1. Let's be real. I will say one of the funnier moments of the JJ bout with BMAC was when JJ pretended to be sleeping with his cat. I laughed. That's funny. Mike D's nuts. What about LeBron fans that followed him? I have no issue with any of the Packer fans who came over to support the Jets once Rodgers left. Brady fans, a.k.a. the Patriot fans, they all did the same thing. You obviously, if the Jets played the Packers in the Super Bowl, you're not a real Packers fan if you say you'd root for the Jets. But I have no problem with you rooting for the Jets as your second team if you came over. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It happens all the time. You just can't rank that team ahead of your actual team. Then you're a fraud. Mercy Fate says, honestly, we watched this show so we could feel normal. You never know what's going to happen on this show. If you're a true Asmaniac, get yourself some Asmaniac gear, jakeasman.com/shop. Get a coffee mug. Get a hat. Get a tumbler. Mike writes in, Allen has cavities from the sweet nectar of victory. John LG says Allen had his wisdom teeth removed years ago. Thank you, John. Doctor writes in, JJ got wiped by BMAC. 25 says BMAC held salad like a brick. We got some BMAC support in the chat. Not from Rick Kent, though, who says BMAC got destroyed by JJ. Oh, Dave Brigger in the house. He's the one guy who didn't call in during that gauntlet. Bernard needs his teeth extracted. Strong. Strong. Ladies and gentlemen, what a show. A show we'll be discussing once again. I truly believe it for decades to come. Remarkable. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all who tuned in. If you want Nick Faria's analysis on the state of the Jets, rewind to the first hour of the show if you joined us late. I'm back today in the afternoon. I'm going to the Knicks game tonight, so figure around 3:34. We'll do another 90-minute or so show like we normally do. Twice a day, every day. Find me at the channel. It gives you more content about the New York Jets than this one, baby. Thanks to everyone who watches. You guys are the best. This show is available in audio form. A bunch of you have tagged me in your Spotify Wraps for the year, which is awesome. So thanks for supporting the show. In audio form, you can get the Jake Asman Show wherever you get your podcast, Apple or Spotify. Appreciate it. My name is Jake Asman. If you've been watching for 90 minutes, you probably know that by now. Quick reminder, I'm going to start saying it because I know I'm going to be asked a lot and people won't listen anyway, but I'll try. Sunday, I'm hosting on ESPN New York from 4 to 8 p.m. that means my YouTube postgame show for Jets Dolphins won't start till 8 when I'm off radio. If you want my immediate thoughts on the Jets game, put on the radio at 4 o'clock. I'll be live talking about it. And then we'll do the YouTube postgame at 8. So probably doing 7 hours of Jets talk on Sunday. Lucky me. Anyway, thank you all for the support. You guys are awesome. Go Jets, everybody. And we'll talk to you in a few hours. Ladies and gentlemen, take it away, Neil.
Let's go.
You're ridiculous. Yeah. Oh, you got one more call? You got enough for one more call? Look at Jesse, he's laughing. I've been waiting in the back. You put that guy on. Who is he? You're ridiculous. Yeah. So how you doing, Robbie Sable?
Good. What's up, buddy?
No, goodbye, Bobby. See ya.
Ready?
Oh, say, can
Everybody mute yourself. Mute yourself.
Light of dawn's early light. What so proud that we hail? We're so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land and of the free and the home of the brave?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Jets, Jets, Jets.